You proud on it?
Yeah.
Scott, yours?
You're doing well, appreciate it.
How's Papa Mom? Is he all right?
He's about as well as ever gonna be. His foot's okay, the dementia is,
Oh, is he?
yeah, he can't hear.
Yeah, how he know it had a little hard time hearing.
I don't think he much more leaves the house hardly.
And I saw him out and about like they usually do.
He don't, I think they took his keys.
But I usually see him at the post office.
Right there. He got out at 6. You're ready. Got out.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Before we do, I want to change, I'm not going to change, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. Instead of doing the pledge first, I want to do the prayer first because we lost a former alderman, Donald Anthony, last week, passed away. I'm not sure the years or how long he served, but he was on the board with Terry and Danny Ritchie and them, and we won't remember him. But I've seen a thing that asked for like at 6 o'clock for people to pray for the nation and stuff for tomorrow. So if everybody's all right with that, I would like to do that. Okay, if everybody stands, so I'll lead the prayer, and then I'll go ahead and do the pledge too. All right, let's pray. Father, we want to thank you for bringing us here tonight for this meeting. Just be with us as we go through and make these decisions that you would guide us on and how to do it. And please remember Don Anthony, a former alderman of ours, dear Lord, that was here and served us well in his years as an alderman, and be with his family and stuff. And God, I want to ask you that you will please be with us tomorrow, for this is a big day in the whole United States of America. And we just ask that you lay your hand on it, and it will be be what you want and be the way you want it to be. God, I just pray that everything goes easy. There's no issue. That God, but whatever's your will is what we will abide by. And God, I just asked all of this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Start salute. Pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Terry won't be here tonight. He had surgery today, so he's not feeling too good. Recuperating. We're good to go. Okay, you see everybody else is here, everybody's here, okay, good deal. Okay, anybody need the minutes of the last meeting read? No? Okay, do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, yeah, thank you guys. Okay, proclamation for recognition and appointments. We have a proclamation designating Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024 as a non-profit day. Also was known in the past as One Burt Gives Day. I've got a proclamation here I would like to read. So it says, whereas charitable non-profit organizations throughout Burt County save taxpayers thousands of dollars through their services and contribute significantly to the high quality of life for all citizens. And whereas the organizations are committed to serving the educational, cultural, civic, health, religious, human, and animal services, recreational, philosophical, environmental, and other diverse needs of Burt County. And the staff and volunteer of all Burt County nonprofit organizations are dedicated to uphold the highest standards of community service, donating their time and effort to make a difference in the lives of others. And Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024, in observance of Burt County, North Carolina Nonprofit Day, provides a unique opportunity for the citizens of Burt County to join together in appreciation and support of the many contributions made by nonprofit organizations to our continued well-being while boosting awareness for continued growth. Now, therefore, the Town of Drexel Board of Aldermen does hereby proclaim Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024 as Burt County, North Carolina nonprofit, and encourage all citizens to recognize the positive impact nonprofit organizations have on the quality of life of the citizens of Burke County. And this is proclaimed today, November 4th, 2024. So that's the proclamation. And guys, we don't have to vote on that. It's just I just wanted to read that out.
Okay.
So, okay. And that is December 3rd.
The next meeting.
It'll be at the next meeting. Well, we don't, not going on next meeting. Okay, now, do we have any public comment?
Oh, we still have the appointment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm running ahead. Okay. Appointment of Beth King, Planning Board alternate.
Yeah, so yeah, you have her application, and she submitted to us last week or the week prior. Teresa's not here currently. She's running a little late today, but pretty much we have a planning board who is appointed by the Board of Aldermen. We have a couple of alternate positions just in case there's an event where a regular board member cannot be there. We're also assessing some of our regular board members to make sure they're committed and they're able to attend these meetings, because that is an expectation of those who join the board. So we thought it would be prudent to go ahead and appoint Miss Beth King. Since she's interested, go ahead and put her on an alternate level. That way she can attend the meetings, and if they have trouble reaching the quorum for any reason, they could sub in their alternate and get the meeting completed. Also giving her an opportunity whenever we do have a full-time vacancy in that board, that she can just kind of slide right in without too much of an issue. So that is in her applications there. I think she's here this evening.
Ms. King,
if she'd like to answer.
Can you come forward and give us a little history?
What kind of history?
Just about you, just about you.
My whole life.
You look familiar.
Actually, I've been associated with Drexel since I was a young child. My grandmother lived across from the Drexel Fair, so every year we would come and walk across the street. We've lived here since 2006. I've been a resident of Drexel. Have relatives who've lived here their whole lives. But I'm a graduate of Chapel Hill with a degree in political science.
That's one strike against you.
And I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't say that. And I worked for Dan Keener, who was the former county attorney, for 7 years. And I was very involved with county planning. When they built the Foothills Higher Education Center, when they took that over, I was involved with that. And my husband is a surveyor and a civil engineer, so I'm very, know a lot about zoning, because we deal with that a lot in most of our businesses in Cabarrus and Stanley and Rowan counties.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I feel like I could bring some experience to that.
You got anything for Ms. King? You guys?
Good.
I was impressed, thank you.
Oh.
We don't have
You're
to
welcome.
do anything, do we?
You would just vote to appoint her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, do I
Effective
have
immediately.
do I have a motion to appoint?
I'll make that motion.
Scott has a motion, do I have a second?
I second.
Tim, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Welcome aboard, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I look forward to serving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. How are you?
Okay, now, do we have any public comment?
Not.
Okay. Unfinished business, Drexel Heritage Properties update. Meeting schedule.
Yeah, so I got a brief one today. I did include in your agenda packets the bidding advertisement for your review that we approved and we have sent out. We've got it posted on the website. We've also got it sent via email to multiple contractors. I've sent it to some of my contacts that I've received over the years to see if we get any interest. So that date is December 5th, and it's a public bid opening. It'll be here in this room on December 5th at, I believe, 2 p.m. It's a Thursday. And if anybody is interested and would like to submit any questions, those are due by Friday, November 22nd. And the hope with this is to get some competitive bids in on that date for the grading and demolition of the Drexel Heritage Site, so we can get that vendor selected and start moving forward on the project. So this is an exciting development. And our consultant engineers will be here among our other COG representatives, Burke County representatives will also be here that day to kind of assess the situation. Of course, we won't have an exact decision on that day of what the bids look like, but at least gives us an opportunity to get the initial numbers and kind of see where things line up. That's really the only update I have on the site.
What time did you say that was?
It's at 2 p.m., Thursday, December 5th, here in this room.
Okay, we're going to have the public hearing for a text amendment, so we need to have a motion and all that on that.
Yeah, you have need a motion to open the public hearing.
Okay, do I have a motion to open a public hearing on the text amendment?
I'll make a motion.
Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are now in a public hearing, Ms. Teresa.
Yeah, sorry I'm late.
Oh, you're
It's been a
fine.
trying day. This zoning text amendment is ZTA 202401, and basically this is to allow for greater flexibility in group housing. Generally, they would have to go through a special use process, but in some municipalities I work in, we do things now administratively. So you just add conditions that you would normally put through a special use permit process, and you just already have the conditions in place for them to follow, and that works very well for the majority of the time. So basically, the planning board has reviewed this on a couple occasions and had some great input from the planning board members on, like buffer systems and what type of trees to use and things like that. And so the planning board recommends approval of this. So basically, this will free up housing that we're going to need, and we need already. And it's going to be in the B1 district, which will allow for townhomes, group homes, apartments, and things like that to come into the B1 district, R20, R12, and the R8 district. And so basically, these are the design standards, and a lot of them are pretty much going easier on setback requirements. And decreasing the amount of acreage that they can begin with, and they can go as no more as 13 units per acre. And it also adds some flexibility in the type of roads that they're used. So this one particular development, when you look at our subdivision regulations and zoning regulations, it required a 50-foot right-of-way. Well, for 13 units on 1 acre, they were going to have to put in 2 streets, and it just didn't really make a lot of sense. So they've developed an alleyway, like a one-way in and one-way out, and they have all the parking they need, and we reduce the setbacks, and we feel like that this particular project should be able to work with that, and it adds more greater flexibility.
Now, you talked about the Burns Street.
Oh, no, about the Burns Street,
Okay.
yeah.
That's what I thought.
And, but this would apply to everybody from now on. Also, add buffer systems, and that particular street will not be a public street because it will not be built to our specific standards. It will be privately owned and maintained. And one thing I did add at the last minute, just in case we don't have to go back through another text amendment or get a variance or something to that effect, on the, it's the last page, right before you get to the map, administrative waiver. And a lot of municipalities do this now. Instead of seeking out a variance process through the Board of Adjustment, you can do just a small administrative waiver. And of course, I would always confer with the town manager and the attorney on this. And so if it's going to slow the project down for them to have to go through a variance process or another text amendment process, then this will give us a little bit more flexibility in that. And I wish a lot more places would use this, because I see people in some towns and county, particularly a county, fighting over 1 foot. And I'm like, really? You're on an 8-acre tract in a rural area, and we're going to fight for a foot? Okay. So in that case, it would make it a little bit simpler just to sign off on it and let it go. So if you do agree with this text amendment and want to move forward with it, once you do the adoption, we need to read a consistency statement into the record.
Okay.
That's for legal purposes.
Yeah, to see if anybody's got public comments.
Do you have any questions for Teresa before she steps
Yeah, you
down?
guys have anything for?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, nobody signed up for public comment? Okay.
all right. So I guess we can close this meeting.
Close the public
Okay,
hearing.
do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, approval of the text amendment. We just need to have someone approve it, right?
Yeah, there would just be a vote to approve, and then like Teresa mentioned, you have to also have a consistency statement after. Can it be with the approval? Or does it have to be separate?
Usually we do it separate. We let them go ahead and vote for it.
Okay.
And then,
Then do
and then I do something that I think helps the boards. I read it for you. You don't have to do it.
Thank you.
you.
All right. Do I have an approval, do I have a motion to approve the text amendment?
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, very good.
All right.
Okay, and so now we're going to read the consistency statement, which is required by North Carolina General Statute 160D. And it's very important that this is done because we've seen communities get sued over not reading the consistency statement. And it says, so basically the requested zoning action as most currently amended is recommended for approval of the zoning text amendment ZTA 2024-01 for group housing developments established by the Town of Drexel Comprehensive Plan. So sections 93016, 93012, permitted use chart in the R20, R12, R8, and the B1 zoning districts allows that is consistent. The zoning text amendment is consistent with the Town of Drexel's comprehensive plans and recommends approval based on the following recommendation. Strategy narrative. Establish the town as a destination and encourages a diversity of commercial and retail options. Review and update zoning regulations to allow mixed industrial, commercial, and residential uses within the mixed-use overlay. And then we will update whatever we need in the comprehensive plan to make that. And that's it. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, does the consistency statement need to be voted on, or is it, as long as it's read in the record, we're good?
Yeah,
Okay.
as long as it's in the record.
Just making sure.
Okay, next, 6C, approval of ordinance of closed Main Street closure for Christmas festivals.
Yeah, not multiple festivals, but festivities.
Festivities, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Just want to make sure that people don't think we're hosting multiple things that day.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so per state statute, we are authorized to close streets temporarily within town limits, even if they're state streets, as long as we notify the state ahead of time, which we of course will. This gives us about a month, month and a half before the event. So on December 14th, we are planning some Christmas festivities downtown after the parade. So we'll have the parade, of course, that morning at 10. And then after the parade ends, we'll have other activities downtown that will require the street to remain closed. So all this ordinance outlines is that closure and the times. And currently we're going to close from Oakland Avenue, so Main Street from Oakland Avenue to Mimosa Avenue from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. Although the whole portion of that road may not be closed that long because the parade will be the most extensive closure. And then after that, we'll be able to maybe open up some of the side roads. But we want to at least grant us the most maximum ability to close what we need going forward. So of course, we've got a lot of the planning done on this, but there'll be, of course, some more public safety planning we have to do as we get closer to the event. So that's what this ordinance is.
Is that something you get with the DOT, or do you get with the DOT?
Yeah, we'll just notify them. We've got contacts with DOT and we'll notify them.
So we'll be good?
Yeah, there's a form we'll submit too, so.
Okay, all right, sounds good. All right, do I have a motion to approve the ordinance to close the Main Street Christmas Festival?
I'll make a motion.
Alan makes a motion, do I have a second?
A second.
Tim, a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, that's it. Okay, now the presentation by David Harmon, architect, on the R.O. Huffman Center findings.
David, and I'll ask you to come forward on this and give the presentation and David, if you just do you want to tell me when to click through, or what's your preference?
Do I get a clicker?
I don't have one.
No, I guess we'll do it your way. It's easy.
My way's the only way.
Gentlemen, I want to first tell you, I am very pleased and very thankful to be part of this project. Getting to walk through there and see all the nooks and crannies that I spent a lot of time with when I was 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old was really a delight. You know, your mother's always your biggest fan, and so when you clean up after they have passed away, you see all the stuff that every photo. I've got trophies that sails from 1974, and I won't divulge my exact age, but that gets you pretty close. But again, I just wanted to tell you thank you for this opportunity to be a part of this project. We set out to give you a facilities assessment. And the assessment really is something to judge where you're at, get a good handle. This property, these facilities specifically have changed hands a couple times, and now they have become part of the town's ownership and maintenance responsibility. So the idea is to understand where we're at and give you a ground to start to plan, whatever that is. Maybe make a 5-year plan from here. To see what we want to do to improve the facilities, to maintain the facilities, and add anything that we think might increase the value of the facilities. When I look at this project, what we did was we kind of walked through the facilities, took a lot of pictures, as you guys can see. I'm a firm believer a photo is worth 1,000 words. I even have a couple videos that I didn't include in here that will show you some things. But the idea is to identify what issues we have at hand, not really to give you a solution, not really to give you a cost of what that problem might cost you, but to give you a big summary of all the issues that are in those facilities. And we looked at all of them. We looked at the main building, we looked at the tennis courts, we looked at the locker rooms, we looked at the baseball field down below the fairgrounds, so that we could kind of look at the whole thing, and once you guys kind of figure out what is important, you can attack it from there. But the idea is to identify the problems, to identify the issues that may have been maintenance might not have been kept up on, or they're an issue that just needs to be repaired. And so the way we went about this was kind of establish some categories so that we looked at everything the same way. And to do that, that gave me some way to score the buildings. And so if you look through the building report, I divided it up into 5 categories. The building systems, go ahead and flip for me one. There's the 5 locations that we identified as part of the process. Go ahead and flip one more. This is a floor plan that semi-identifies every room. There's some places we found that we didn't even know existed still. So that kind of gives you a good layout of the land in terms of this main facility. Go ahead and skip one more. So here's how we attacked each facility. We looked at it as a building system, which kind of looked at your mechanical, your plumbing, and your electrical systems. And then we looked at the interior analysis, try to get, does it need paint, carpet, how the walls, ceilings, all those kind of things look. And then to the outside to do the same thing. What does the structure look like? How does the systems on the outside of the building look? How are they operating? Site analysis talks about lighting, safety, landscaping, those kind of things. And then the last one was ADA, accessibility. Now, when I want to preface this by saying, when you look at this, we gave it a weight of failure, poor, fair, and good. And that's kind of how we judged it. And if you look at all the buildings, they fall into what would classify as a poor condition. But I want to preface this by saying that of the 5 categories, ADA is so skewed that it really blows that total number out. So you could actually take out the ADA number and have what is probably a truer analysis of the facility. It puts you closer to the fair category, but I don't want to ignore the ADA. That has to be part of your consideration because 10 is probably an aggressive grade, because there's really nothing over there that addresses ADA. We have a ramp in the back that actually is not as bad as I thought it was when I put a level on it and a tape measure. It's close, but it wouldn't meet ADA standards. But there's nothing in there that meets it. So that 10% really skews your total number. Go ahead and turn down one. So what I did was, and I won't read through all this, guys, you've had a chance to look at it, but basically I kind of give you a summary of what I think each of those categories have and the items that need addressing and have some concerns. In this facility, I'll just mention a few. When you get to the very end of this section, you'll see my recommendations. But anytime you have water damage, that's first priority, number one. That will destroy your building quicker than any issue you've got. This building is tight. It's built like a tank. It has a concrete ceiling in part of it. It has steel beams. It has CMU construction throughout the building. So it's built like a tank. I was in the attic. It's clean. You would never believe it's, 75 plus years old. But we do have some issues with water, which I think is a priority for you guys, or I would suggest is a priority. The gutters are in really bad shape. They don't work. You'll see some photographs of where they're leaking. I actually have a video of them. They're not working at all. But there is a issue at the front that has a design flaw in that all the water comes against the side of those columns and those decorative flutes. There's actually a photo of it. You'll see it up high. There's that, and then there is two small leaks back in the closet area where the Zumba rooms are. I call it the large and small areas. There's two leaks that probably need to be addressed. They weren't wet, but they were stained, so at some point we've had an issue. And I walked through most of these facilities with Roger, and I walked through with Lisa and try to get their take on what has happened, where they're at in the stage and so forth, things like that. And some of these things, like this closet, nobody knew about. It's in the closet, nobody goes into it. So anyway, without going through every item, water is a big issue. Go ahead and flip down a couple. And we'll just flip through, go one more. So we don't take everybody's dates, but as you flip through the photographs, and you can just kind of go through them.
Yeah, I'll just.
Bill, you can see the leaks. These are above the area. You see that gutter has a football in it. You see the water dripping down here. You see the water in the bottom. Go ahead and flip another. So there's the design flaw. See the fluted columns? That water just comes from the top off of that and then drops into there. So we need to do something now. But oddly enough, inside the building, it's dry. The roof structure is dry. There is a leak that goes into the banquet hall in this particular area that needs to be addressed. But luckily, the roof structure, the substrate of the roof is all in good shape. So go ahead and go some more. We've got some issues on the exterior that need to be maintained. We've got some crack in the mortar. This is in the front entrance. But there's various places we're missing some bricks, some things like that. These are not necessarily cosmetic, but they're not of high priority. You need to address them so that we don't end up with water issues in your foundation and that kind of thing. But go ahead and flip through some more. Same thing with our monument sign. A good wind. I'm surprised it made it through the hurricane. It's been there forever. It needs to be replaced completely. Go ahead. So as you get through inside, you see when I really talk about ADA, there is not a handrail in the whole place. I think the only one I noticed was down in the locker room or down at the baseball field. But we've got things that we need to address, like how we've got them not working. That shower doesn't work. That toilet doesn't work. The sink on the other end doesn't work. This is the small bathrooms near the Zumba rooms, the banquet hall, and the kitchen. Go ahead and flip. Again, just more issues about ADA, plumbing. We have one water fountain in the whole facility, and it's as old as I am, and most kids cannot use it because it's about as high as this thing. So ADA, even usability is an issue completely, so we need to address some of those. There were 2 at one time that have been taken out. We've got some plumbing issues. As you look at there, we've got a water heater that's accessible to kids. We've got plumbing lines that go around, and these were quick fixes at some point probably, but things I think I would suggest that we look at and repair from a safety standpoint. And I think it'll be more usable. And you look at that, we've got 2 toilets sitting out in the middle of all the glory. And so we need to do some things like that. Go ahead and flip. Again, this kind of addresses the plumbing issues. Go ahead again. The women's bathroom is the same. We've got several facilities that don't function. We've got plumbing that has been run across the face of the wall. But again, see, this place is built like a tank. You look at these masonry walls, they got ceramic tile on them, or they're ceramic units. So they hold up like nothing you've ever seen. They take abuse better than anything that we would build nowadays. Go ahead. You can kind of flip a little faster, Bill, to get the idea. The lobby was in good shape. Maybe some cosmetic paint, a few things like that, but it was in good shape. The floor, a good waxing, stripping, that kind of thing. Go ahead again. The gymnasium has a few issues, and I'll just quickly hit them. And some of those are already in the process of being fixed. The windows, the glare. I think the floor is being refinished. Some of those things are already being addressed. I will say that one of the things they'll run into is lighting. Once you take out the light from the windows, these very old fixtures are probably not adequate. Might at some point in time need to address those issues from an energy point for one, as well as a functional point. Go ahead and flip. Same kind of thing, go ahead and flip. I'll try to run as fast as I can. These are some areas that we just discovered that, that they were using. These are storage units. Overall work pretty well. They're give you some lighting issues. That light probably is 1950s, but we've got some of the storage units need some things addressed. We've got windows that are out that have been plywooded over. This is back what used to be the old skating room where they kept the skates at the backside of the gymnasium. And actually Lisa was working on this when I went through this in July, so she may have made some improvements. But some of those areas could be utilized a lot, and I know Lisa's working on some of those things and moving things around and taking some aggressive moves on that already. But go ahead and flip. This is the Zumba room, great opportunity for things to happen with a few improvements. This used to be the old bowling league where they had 3, maybe 4, I can't remember exactly. And you actually manually did the pins. They had some kids sit back there for a piece of bubble gum. And
done that many a night.
Yes, and you hoped you didn't get caught by the second ball.
Yeah.
But behind that is 2 rooms that we didn't know what happened. There's a bathroom in it, and there's a storage unit in the other that can be utilized for some things. HVAC works great, lighting is terrible. Go ahead and flip. Well, out there in the top corner, you see there's some damage to some drainage from a window. This is the smaller activity area, and to the right, that closet space right there is where the leak is. Go ahead and flip. This area is in pretty good shape. Outside of the closet, a couple leaks that I said are in a flat area. You got some electrical that is exposed if you utilize this closet, and we want to address. Go ahead again. This brings us to the kitchen. The kitchen, I don't remember very well growing up. It is not very functional now. It gets used for birthday parties and some things like that, but it doesn't really get used as a kitchen per se. Hood needs some testing, some work on it. There's the water heater again sitting out and everything. Go ahead and flip through there. There's some great opportunity for this kitchen to be utilized down the road. Lisa is very interested in somehow incorporating that in the game plan as you guys go forward to how she could make some revenue for the facility. What that might be defined in could be anything. Could be the hood, it could be something much smaller scale like a concession stand. There's all kinds of opportunities, but there are definitely plumbing issues, a little bit of issue with a leak at the window. Go ahead again. But to make this a usable kitchen, you basically would guts there. That 3-sink needs a grease trap. There's some code things and things like that that need to be addressed. So you have to really hit this one hard to make it a functional and meet health codes and things like that. Go ahead. To our surprise, and there's 2 rooms off this kitchen. There is a bathroom. There is a single bathroom there in the middle of the bottom row is a single bathroom. There's a toilet there. Now, whether it functions or not, I'm not sure. We didn't climb over everything, but the rooms there are full of stuff that could be utilized if it was a kitchen. The electrical panels there. And again, once you figured out what you needed for a kitchen, you'd have to address some of those electrical needs. Go ahead.
Dave, before you go any farther, the room, the picture up on the top left, I found out today that in the bottom of that, that's that little closet in between the bathroom. In that floor, I don't know how long ago it was, but there was a long time ago, I think, there was a leak.
Oh.
It's a pipe that runs through the cement. And in that closet, there was a leak there, and they fixed it with a rubber
Just a housing
sleeve.
yeah.
So that's, I don't know if that's something we need Roger to look at or not, but I just found that out today.
And that's something we'll definitely, when we get into the bathroom part of the project, we definitely want to keep that in mind.
Okay.
The banquet hall, cosmetically, it could use like anything else there, some paints and things like that, but the biggest issue with this part of the facility is it's terrible in terms of acoustics. You can't really have a meeting. We've tried a couple times. The council has tried a couple meetings there, and if you sit back here, you can't hear anything, or you hear what everybody else is saying. So the acoustics are terrible. It could use some windows. Go ahead and flip. There's some water damage that I talked about above the roof. There is a closet back there where the mechanical room is, and nobody knows what that did. It's a big trench. I think it was where the fire system used to come in at one time, but I'm not sure. Could use some investigating, but even Roger didn't know what it was for. The electrical is a big issue over there because it's not a grounded system, which most of the building isn't. So if you want to have activities, somebody has to find that little adapter, and somebody's always chasing Lisa down and goes, "Where's the adapter that we can plug this thing in?" Because it's not grounded. That's a big thing that could really be addressed, and you could utilize that space for other options other than just birthday parties. Go ahead. There is 2 rooms on the other end, and I'm not sure what Lisa's game plan is for the other side, but this is opposite the banquet hall. There's 2 small rooms that could be utilized for anything. They're in pretty good shape. Flip through one more. Although there is a small closet, it's been turned into like a kitchenette almost. It has cabinets. It also has the mechanical unit exposed right there. So as soon as you open it, there it is. There's a couple places where this mechanical blower unit is there for people to access very easily. That we could probably figure out a way of securing it or framing around it or some things like that from a safety issue. Upstairs, like I said, this place is built like a tank. You go through, you can see the steel structure looks great. The roof over the gymnasium is in good shape. It doesn't appear to have any leaks. Go ahead and flip. But it's clean as a whistle. I mean, for something 75 years old, it is just amazing. I didn't even have cobwebs. It was crazy. But the structure itself looks good. I did find one leak. That's about where the kitchen is, closely to that area, that they have repaired at one point. I assume that they've taken care of the leak because everything was still dry. They actually had shavings on the floor that were dry, so they didn't clean up very well in that little area. But it looks like that's a non-point in there now. As you look at the place, flip them more, you see there's the leak that happened at one time. But again, structure's great. Go ahead and flip. You can see what used to be a workout area. There, a boxing piece of equipment, hands up, pull-up bars and some things like that. Go ahead and flip. But you notice this is all concrete ceiling. These are over the banquet hall, the lobby, all the way over to the second thing. So it's built like crazy. There's a bench that probably Terry used to do setups when he was young. That's how old some of this stuff is, but it's up there and in great condition. Go ahead and go. So in general, my recommendations are to address the water issues with your gutter, your fascia, any of those things. Get that would be a number one priority. Maybe look at any leaks that you might have from a masonry standpoint. After that, definitely need to address plumbing issues and how that facility works. And that may have some ADA affiliated issues with it too and help bring up that score. The mechanical system needs some investigating. I know we had some issues over the summer, several trips, especially into the unit and the gym. So we probably need to do a little more investigating and find out how much maintenance has been done on it, how old it is, are we at the end of the lifetime of that thing? And those are things I didn't quite dwell into. We need to look at those a little bit. We could improve the safety around the building. There's some dark areas. If you drive by tonight, you'll notice, you look at the front of the building, the only thing that's lit is that front light. The front entrance. So both sides, the sidewalk going up to it are dark, so we could use some things there. The parking lot is not too bad, but once you put all the cars in it, then there's going to be dark spots because the lights are kind of spread out on the very edge. And then of course you can look at all kinds of other things. The efficiency of the windows, the lighting. Go ahead and flip one more. So overall, while it rated as a poor condition, I would recommend and say that facility is in fair and good condition. I was very pleased knowing that how many times it's changed hands, that the condition it still is. Just needs some maintenance, some tender loving care to catch back up, and then I think you're going to have an asset that is a great asset for the town. I'll run through these two real quickly. The locker room facility, which is down by the big baseball field and the football field. I know it doesn't get utilized really. It seems to be a catch-all right now. And I know there's some issues with the roof, but this building to me is a great building. Inside, again, it is all masonry. It has ceramic faced CMU. So if you think about 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids with cleats, helmets, football, they're going to be all riled up. They can't, I say they can't. They're less likely to destroy, these items. Now, there's some issues with the toilets in the bathroom, but the beauty of this facility is somebody was thinking, at least in the locker rooms, there is a plumbing chase. So getting in between that is a lot less detrimental to digging up the floor and some things like that. Now, it doesn't have an HVAC system. It needs that to be addressed. And it needs to look at how we can improve the concession area for Lisa. It's hot. They have no exhaust. It's very cramped. I think the power is inefficient for refrigerators and things like that. So we need to look at that a little bit. But overall, it needs a roof, and so does the dugouts. Somebody at one time mentioned about a metal building, but I would definitely suggest against it. All the foul balls, all the kids, I don't think a metal building or a metal roof will survive very well. But those are items I would recommend looking at. Go ahead and flip through it again. Go ahead and flip. We'll just look at some of the photos real quick. Outside's good. It needs a roof. It needs some repair work. There used to be skylights in the roof system that were covered, and it may be okay. It catches your eye when you walk in there, so you don't know if there's anything wrong with it or not. There you see some of the toilets. You know, those are there. It's just a storage facility. Now, what I will say, and I highly, is we come up with a keying system. Guys, you would not believe how many padlocks are on these buildings. And they're going through this, looking for this key, that key, you know, and Roger's got one, and Lisa's got one. That would help you out dramatically, just trying to get into things. Because everything has a padlock on it, it seems like, even in the inside. So, but anyway, the facility, again, I say the bones. Look at the tile. You know, these cleats hold up for 75 years. Well, might not be that old, but it's a good 50 years. We can utilize it. The kitchen is packed full. And that's a big revenue for Lisa. So if we can help find a way to make that work more efficient, that might be valuable. Go ahead. Again, the dugouts need roofing. The press box, which is as old as I am, needs to be replaced completely. It's just four poles, and I guess somebody takes a ladder on game day and climbs up. You know, we need something there.
Used to be Mike Adams.
So I would just recommend that thing come down completely. But you kind of see the same thing. I will point out that there is no ADA. So you think about a person in a wheelchair. The entrance is not where it used to be. I don't know if you guys remember the old baseball bleachers. Do you remember the wooden bleachers?
Wooden bleacher, yeah.
Oh, they were great. And everybody entered from the road over there. You know, that was the main entrance. And it's a pretty steep incline. It's not even close to 80. But it seems now that Lisa utilizes that double gate back to the back side of it. And again, that, if you think about rolling down Grandma to see Johnny's ball game, it's a pretty good roll down and up. That's an item that I would want to recommend, that we try to find a way to improve, maybe a sidewalk that does a little winding thing that would improve some of those situations for that thing. And then real quickly, I'll go over the last two. Concession stand at the baseball field. The reason this one ranks so lowly is the site is in bad shape. I'll go ahead and flip. One more for me, please. Excuse me. One more. One more. So the facility, the building is in good shape. Again, a masonry building. The bathrooms could use a coat of paint, maybe a new roof on the thing. But flip again. The dugouts have got gutters that are, I'm not real sure what was planned there. It's a half a gutter, then half the gutter's on the ground catching the other half. It's some high engineering, as we might say. But it needs a lot of work. But there's some safety issues that really concern me about the downtown, and especially with baseball coming around. Right as you come down the big slope from the fairground and you turn into the parking lot, this area, the three of them it's just eroding down to nothing. It's about 3 feet deep. So without that orange mesh, you know, you'd lose a 10-year-old. Just a big safety area. The yard drain is kind of along third base area between the slope that comes off of the cemetery and the field. So it's exposed for anybody that's not playing. You know, all the kids throwing balls and running around. But you can see how dangerous that could be. So I rate this kind of low based on safety issues alone. Go ahead and flip again. I did put a photo, but the batting cage, which is on the back side of the facility, is completely grown up. And it wouldn't take much. I don't know what the insides look like and what to make it useful, but it's just been neglected from a maintenance standpoint. It has kudzu, honeysuckles, everything all over. You can't even get into it. It looks like a duck. What do they call those duck dives where you sit and shoot duck from? But so that's why this one's rated real low. The tennis courts and the parking lot. I'll give you two quick things about those guys. The tennis courts, I know we are looking at resurfacing, and I would suggest that we investigate that highly before you get too far down the road of just resurfacing. There's a lot of heaving between the concrete. Everywhere you see grass is a crack. And some of those places is heaved up as much as, half an inch to an inch. And so when you resurface that, I don't know how much it would take to not to let that reappear in the next surface. It's a thick slab, but I'm almost to the point where I'd recommend taking it down completely and putting up a new slab. Just from, you see the maintenance to the facility, I'm not sure how well you could resurface over that concrete area. The parking lot is in pretty decent shape. I mean, I don't see any potholes. We got cracks we probably could use to reseal it, do some preventive maintenance to it, maybe restripe it, I don't know, that kind of thing. And again, the tennis courts have ADA issues, just getting them up a little bit, but that's not a major one. So to kind of conclude what I see from the facilities, guys, I think it's a great asset. I think it has great potential. I think it needs a little tender love and care from a maintenance standpoint that could happen over a series of years. I think there's some issues that need addressing sooner than later. The water, ADA issues, and plumbing issues are probably the three highest of items that I would suggest that we look at real quickly.
None of the plumbing is really up to code, is it?
Probably not, no. And it's, if it was functional, it wouldn't be so bad. But we've got, when you went into the boys' locker room, there was a toilet that had been literally boarded up. And then you go into the shower. I don't know how long it's been since those showers worked. So they don't function. But you look at what has come up and over, like talking to Roger, some of the issues with the plumbing is the fixtures are so old, he can't even find parts for them. So instead of putting a new fixture, somewhere along the line, somebody has just put a trash bag over it. There's several urinals in the men's shower room that have just been, we're not using those. We got a trash bag over them. From a function part is more of an issue than code issue, in my opinion, in some of the plumbing needs. They just don't work. Yes, sir.
With the leaks that you did find, did you see any mold anywhere?
I didn't, and the closet was very dry, and I was stepping over things in that closet. So excuse me, there was a lot of stuff in the closets, but I didn't see anything that looked like there was a mold or a drip or a long-lasting thing. So I don't know when it happened or if it's been addressed somewhere in the past. I didn't walk on the flat. I put a ladder up, climbed up to the edge, and took some photographs and looked at it. And it appeared to be in good shape. Now, I don't know what the age of it is, but it seems to be pretty dry still. And I didn't see anything that indicated mold.
Right. Now, on the gymnasium, it's a flat roof, correct?
No.
Okay.
So if you get a chance to look at that picture, you'll see those orange beams. So they have a radius to it, but to each side of that gymnasium, that's flat. So if you think about where the Zumba room is, that small activity is flat. The shower area, some of that storage area over there to that side. So basically, if you think from the windows, if you're standing into the gym, the rest of the way out is flat, except of course the front, which is sloped.
Well, what I was thinking was, you said it's a 75-year-old building or over, and those flat parts, and you didn't find much leaks in there. That's amazing.
Yeah. I was astonished about the condition. I really, based on what I'd seen in the gutters, I just thought, this is going to be atrocious by the time we get in it. But it's not. It really has a lot of potential that I think once the council decides on the game plan, I think it can be utilized tremendously, not only by the sports facilities, but I think it can be expanded even further than that. The banquet room could be improved and maybe used for educational purposes with Western Piedmont or any of those kind of facilities that wanted to utilize it. You can use it for bigger town meetings. We had the debate, that would have been a great place for it. Things like that, I think, have a great opportunity.
We're in the process of taking care of that banquet room
Yeah.
with the grant that Mr. Hall got, what we're gonna help him with.
Yeah, I think that's
So
going
that's a start on that banquet room.
yeah.
Well, speaking of the banquet room, can that wall be taken down and expanded
Okay,
that room, or
I
I put that
put-
slab over there, what's the deal
So
on
if you
that?
look at that section in the book, I did put a little snippet in there. The shape of that room is terrible. It's just a big tunnel, right? And so we were having a conversation, and I might have to hire Bill as an architect because he came up with this great idea. But he said, well, what if we take down this wall? It's got that long hallway where the drinking fountain went, and it just winds you back around. Over that area, if we could take that wall out, we would gain 30% more access to that room. It would change the shape. It would make it more utilized in terms of acoustics. We could still put in a divider wall and make it 2 units, if they had 2 birthday parties coming on. But to answer your question, I think there's some options, and I think it's worth investigating. There's a concrete slab above it, and how we would go about it, I don't know. I think we need to get a structural guy involved a little bit. There's not a lot of roof load coming down. Most of it's going out to the walls. There's a little bit of knee wall underneath it, so that's carrying a little bit of the weight. But I don't know how thick that slab is. Some places it looks like it might be 3 inches, but if you look over top of the entrance into the gymnasium, it looks like that slab's 6 inches deep. So I'm not real sure what the condition actually is, but I think and would recommend that it would be useful to see if we could expand it. Because what we would do, we're talking is take over that hallway completely. That's about 9 feet total to that length. And then what we would do is we'd come to the back side of the gymnasium and put a double door in there. That allows access into the Zumba room, access into concession area. If the kitchen ever gets utilized in a very productive way, you have direct access right out of the gymnasium into that space. Lisa thought it was a great idea to the way things function and the way she's operating now. Anyway, I'll speak for her, but she liked the idea, and it gives you access in and out of that room a little better.
The 2 bathrooms in the, I call it the old game room, the 2 singles. That is a project that's probably, Scott, 2 years overdue?
Yes.
Where do we stand on that? Do you have any idea?
Well,
You
we've
got me
hired
for that.
David, and he's been focused on this study and presenting it tonight. But the next phase would be moving into the bathroom.
I don't see any reason to delay that part. It addresses one of your 3 major items. I would definitely keep that on the agenda and proceed with that. And it may fall in with the banquet hall as well.
Well, you'll have access from the banquet hall to the bathrooms also, right? Still?
Yep, so you'll still be able to come out that little door, double door there. So you still have access. You have access from the Zumba room. You have access for patrons in the gymnasium, actually. So they have a direct shot to it instead of walking all the way around. I don't think most people use the locker rooms very much. It's down and out of the way, and it seems to, more than likely, they've got a set of kids huddled in either in the locker room or in the hallway outside of it. So patrons don't use that one as much, so they have to go all the way around. So it actually makes it more beneficial for that as well.
Anybody got anything for me?
I think it's very,
I think you've done a very thorough examination. Thank
very
you.
good.
So you think the building's worth saving? I mean, there's no need to even think about tearing it down and replacing it with something else.
I can't see you ever building anything comparable in size, comparable in longevity, based on the materials it's built out of and based on what it would cost to replace something of that size, it would be extravagant probably. I think with some TLC, with maybe even some design improvements, I've mentioned to Bill a couple times, maybe we do something to the front that allows parking in the front, allows handicap, so everybody now comes in the back door. So you gotta go through the gym no matter where you're going, and you go up that ramp and you go wherever. The front is very limited in how much you use if you go all the way around.
Well, we need a ramp or something, handicap access to the front of it anyway.
And that would be a smaller ramp because the difference in elevation is much smaller than it is in the back. You know, that one in the back's about 60 feet long. This one could be very minor compared to that.
I like the idea, maybe on the side that the shower rooms is on that side. If the building been this way, it'd be the left-hand side, putting parking in that area.
There's all kinds of options. We could do a circular drive. We could do a section on each side that had handicap. And the idea I would probably push is that you not only think about the handicap, but you try to get circulation improved. Because that's one of the things I suggested in there is how people use the building and everybody coming in the back. If we could improve where they come in and enter, they have access to different things quicker and without disturbing other issues.
So you don't see it as a money pit?
I think there's going to be some money invested in it, but I don't see it as a pit. You know, I didn't see anything that was falling down. I didn't see any termite damage. You know, the only thing that will come back to be what I would consider a surprise is if a mechanical system goes down. You know, those things can get very spendy. It's a lot of square footage. That could be a high price ticket. But I don't really see it as a money pit. I think you could attack it in sections over a planned time period and make it every bit as valuable as the Rock School is to Valdez. I mean, everybody knows where the Rock School is in Valdez. You drive by it, it's an icon. We could do the same thing with the R.O. Huffman facility. Everybody knows what that is, and I think that's the easiest facility. I mean, I know we got things that are planned for the 100 acres, but that thing right there will give you an identity to so many people, not only the people in Drexel, but the people that come and play in, you know, all those kids that come from Salem, Grand Alpine, Hildebrand, wherever, you know, they're there every Saturday, Tuesday, whatever. And it's just an amazing amount of exposure that we're gonna get. And the more we make it look better, because obviously, if I'm from Glen Alpine or if I'm from Hildebrand and I come look and I look in that bathroom and I got a wooden X up it, that's gonna be the first thing I remember and tell somebody is like, God almighty, I had to go to the bathroom way around the other side because they had wooden doors blocked up. So I don't see it as a money pit. I see it as an investment that will pay for itself well over time.
If we get this developed and get something going over here, that will help with some of that down there too.
Well, as far as revenue, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, if
revenue
you get additional tax base, that's general fund dollars that you can invest back into this.
Invest into it.
Good pit.
See, I see it as a landmark
Later
for
for
this
training,
community,
too.
like you're saying. I
Yeah.
see it as a landmark that can't be replaced.
There's nothing that pops off the page. I mean, we got the school and we got Halliburton and that's still a vital part of our community. But Drexel, the R.F. Huffman just seems to outreach past our city limits. And that's what I think the value is. We're not as fortunate as Valdez where you've got 70 going right down the middle of town and everybody drives down it every time there's a wreck. And everybody gets detoured down through the middle of Valdez. And so they see the Rock School or whatever is improved. So how else better to establish that improvement and you know, let the rest of the county know what we're putting into fill our facilities.
So you think the building down at the big baseball field is also savable?
I think so. Again, I think it ought to be utilized as what it should be utilized for. Place for restrooms, place for the teams to go and change clothes so they're not changing in the back of their car. places for the coaches to go in at halftime if they want to, you know. I think it should be utilized other than a catch-all. I mean, I saw a swimming pool behind one of them, you know. The brick, the bones are there. The roof needs some stuff, the soffits and the outwigs of the roof need some issues. There's some rot there, but I don't think there's any reason to bulldoze it at all. I like where it's at. You walk right past it. It's close to the baseball field. Accessibility is there. You know where you're going, whether you're on the visiting team or whether you're on the home team, you walk right by it. I can't again imagine you would be able to put up something that would hold up. And that's my big part. I'm talking about maintaining its integrity over the lifetime like it has so far. Just knowing sports. I mean, you know kids.
You know, it was shut down for a long time after Burke County moved out of it.
I could see it.
It was shut down for a long time. And when I first come on board, opening that place and get it going, and it's alive, it's going now. We just need to do some improvements to the building to help keep things going.
Yeah. I'd love to have the wooden baseball stadium back, but I
Oh
don't
man,
think that'll ever
and
happen.
them bleachers were awesome.
They were cool. They were nostalgia.
Do you think a 5-year plan would be enough, or would we more than a 5-year plan?
I don't know a lot about town budgets and how much money and revenues comes and goes. So to answer that question, I'm not really qualified. But I guess the question I would ask is, if you don't put it into RFI, where are you putting it in? And there may be needs other places. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying, what is it that is as important as this key part of your community? And I know there's things, you know, I saw the water leak that we had to fix today. So, you know, there's all kinds of things we got to maintain. But depending on revenue and how budgets go, which is all Bill's expertise, you know, 5 years maybe you make a good dent in it at 5 years, and maybe you have a 10-year plan to get everything. I mean, ADA stuff is things you do along the way. You don't go in there and just re-app everything for ADA. You make that a part of the process. So to answer your question, I think you can make a good dent in the 5 years easy.
Okay. Sounds like what we need to do is prioritize what needs, you know, number one priority, and just work on a priority file list of what we need, like the bathrooms, or, you know, or the ADA, some of the ADA, like I said, that's something that can go all along, or some others. I mean, if we had a priority list of what we want to do and how we want to do it, that would probably be a good way to do things.
What I might even suggest, and again, I'm not an alderman and haven't gone through the process of budgeting, but I almost would suggest allotting a budget line item. Say, this is what we're allocating per year for the next 5 years. And then along with grant money, because there's a grant that's opened up that Bill and I have been talking about that may help for the bathrooms and the banquet hall. It closes in the end of January or something. So start attacking those grants, knowing that we're already got a line item of X amount of money. And then based on that X amount of money, let's see what we're gonna do this year. Well, we know we need this. And then plan that way. Again, the place functions. It needs improvement on the way it functions, but it's not like we have to close it down and not have basketball season, or we don't have to, do this activity. So there's still availability to do those things, and you know, we're already making a dent in the banquet hall, perhaps. And again, that's just my suggestion. Then you can kind of begin to spearhead what you wanted. What are the priorities? What are the necessities? And then how much of that is that going to cost per year? You know, that's just a thought.
How would we go about doing that? Would that be
Well,
something that we'd all have?
Yeah,
to
I
do?
think we haven't yet set the schedule for next year. We'll do it at the next meeting or meeting schedule. I would certainly think I want to schedule a retreat for the board and staff to sit down and not only, you know, among other issues, but definitely recreational issues, and talk about how we want to tackle this thing. Just as kind of have that conversation, that open conversation. Is there a certain amount of money, like David's saying, that we want to make sure we set aside every year if it's possible? Is there alternative financing options? Is there, do we want to get a loan? There's all kinds of options we can take. We just got to sit down, talk about what the board would like to do and go from there. Especially as we get started with budgeting.
What about that, what is the grant? It's a big grant.
The part F.
Yeah, part of
Yeah.
it. Can we use, is that something that has to be on the outside, or is that something we can?
No, it's any recreational project. I know since North Carolina really has been focusing on trail systems and stuff the past couple of years, that's been where a lot of their money's been allocated, but that doesn't mean we can't attempt more other other facility uses that I think are completely eligible. And I think Ms. Sherry Bradshaw had attempted that a few years back.
Yeah, we had tried that at one time, but it didn't come through for us.
Yeah, and we do also have a recreational plan that was developed, I think, back in 2017, which identifies some of the similar issues so we've been talking about these issues for a while. But I think definitely now's the time to say, hey, how do we actually start knocking some of this out?
I think Lisa is the person that we definitely need down there, though. I think that she's got the ball rolling and she's always talking about making revenue to help generate the money and stuff. So I think it's a good,
Yeah, she's the right person to be in that position.
Yeah.
I'll tell her that.
Just get her a key to every padlock and she'll be good.
Yeah.
I think we need to do a re-keying, in my opinion, as a high priority. That way we can get into the facility.
As the head custodian at Drexel and Heritage, I had a wad of keys, but I had one master key that I could get in.
Yeah.
And,
and
that's something we definitely need down there. You had them keys at the college meeting.
Yeah, and all these.
Yeah, he had all these. Yeah, that's totally something, I think that's something we could do rather quickly if we need to, you know. Or maybe
Quickly,
not
it would be expensive. Yeah, locksmiths aren't cheap, but to me, it's a priority just because so we make sure we all have at least have the same key,
Yeah.
so we can get into the doors before we
have one master key out.
Yeah. All right.
Anybody else got anything?
Okay.
Thank you, David,
Very good
appreciate
report.
it. Great job.
Thanks, man.
All right, so thanks, David. Go ahead, Mayor, if you want to call the next item.
Okay, yes, next item is selection of David Harmon, architect for the banquet room architectural services.
Yep, so you just heard David speak. He will be conducting our restroom planning that we've already hired him for. We did that back in June, I believe. And we did also, back if you remember during our budget discussions, we had talked about Grow with Drexel, Dan Hoyle going out for a grant, $40,000 grant. And, he wanted to kind of get the temperature in the room about what the town stance was on pursuing that grant and then potentially matching that grant in the budget. So we did receive word about a month ago maybe that Mr. Hoyle and Grow with Drexel had received that grant. And I believe they've received the money. So that grant was specifically for the banquet room and trying to make some upgrades, as we've discussed earlier on in the banquet room and what those look like. So with that step being crossed, the next step is we need to hire an architect to do that. Given that we submitted, David submitted an RFQ, we selected and hired for the restroom renovations and this study he's completed, I think he's well qualified to also conduct the planning and architectural services for the banquet room facilities. But of course, that's up to the board to decide whether or not you'd like to retain his services for that, if you'd like to look at other options, or if you're comfortable with him.
Yeah. Dan, can you come forward for a minute, please? Do you like the idea, I mean, I know we're getting ready, do you like the idea maybe the wall coming down and what we can do for that room?
I'm not prepared to adequately answer that question, Dennis, but I can tell you that it would give the room a lot more potential use. It's 22 by 60 basically, and as David said, it would increase it to about 30 by 60. It would, but I have no clue what.
Can you kind of go into detail about what the grant where we can get, it'll do the acoustics and what all?
Well, I wrote the grant in terms of what could we do to make the room more usable by more constituents. We're talking about a drop ceiling, better lighting, a better PA system, flooring that would absorb the sound better, the HV possibility, and I don't know how far, 40,000 plus whatever the town would put into it, I don't know how far that would go, so I'm glad we have an architect that's going to be talking about some of that, but possibly, and I think all the board is aware that we're doing this, part of this. I don't know how far all that money will go, but we'd love to put new doors in. It's not in our budget to change the windows,
Okay.
but it does not include the
We can
kitchen.
look into some of that. In the budget meeting and stuff. Okay, so I know we're gonna vote on it. And I'm gonna let you represent Drexel, grow with Drexel. And I'm pretty sure I know, but I think I wanna go ahead and ask, are you good with David doing the architecture part of it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, all right,
So
I appreciate it.
if I may interrupt real quick,
Yeah.
so, just whenever if you decide to hire David, you'll, do it based on qualifications, per state statute, and then just, grant, the town manager the authority to negotiate that proposal, with David, and accept that proposal. That way I can execute it. That way we don't have to wait for, multiple meetings.
Right.
If the board is okay with it, it's completely up to the board.
And Mr. Mayor, if I can throw one more.
Go ahead.
When we wrote the grant, it was put into the grant numerous times that we understand the town of Drexel owns the building.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we're perfectly comfortable with David doing it, being the architect, but we also realize that the town of Drexel makes all the decisions
Yeah.
about everything.
Well, we're partnering up with getting this room done,
Sure.
that's why I wanted to.
And we hope, and it already has encouraged some other potential benefactors to step forward and say they would like to help with some other issues in there. So it's a win in a lot of different ways.
Okay. David, I meant to ask you something a while ago, and I just happened to think about it. The floors are asbestos. We couldn't tear them up and replace them because we're going to have to give something over top of them.
Well, once you disturb them, then you have to go through all the process of asbestos removal and debris, baggage and all the things that go along with that. That would probably, I'm guessing, probably have a detrimental effect on her schedule, who she could have in there, when she could have in there. You might could work it out between seasons or something, but it would definitely be expensive to take it up. So, we'll have, there is a small percentage that you can disturb, like for cutting pipes. If you needed to do something to the plumbing, you can do some of that, but if we get into taking out a lot of it, then we have to follow through those asbestos guidelines, and that gets expensive and
Do you think we need to do that, or can we just put like a rubber thing over there, like I got in the game room? You okay?
I'd recommend a different type of floor, especially in the banquet room, because of noise.
Yeah.
So I would suggest we go over what's there and leave it in place.
If we don't disturb it, we're good, then, right?
Yeah, I don't see any reason to be disturbing it that I can think of.
Okay.
So I would just go directly over it with, whatever that product would be. I don't know what that might be. It might be, maybe it's a carpet tile, so that as things get abused, we can easily replace a 2x2 square because Johnny spilled his high C.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, how do we want to do this? Do we have a motion to approve David as architect for the banquet room at the R.O. Huffman Center and for Bill to negotiate, be our negotiator in that? Do I have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, there you go, sir.
All right, thank you.
Let's see, where we at now?
We're at the discussion Republic.
Okay, let me get this started.
Please.
I've had, and I'm sure a lot of the other you have, we've got issues. There's some issues with the Republic Service Performance, which is our garbage pickup people. Now, I've got my third trash can within a year of where they've destroyed trash cans. We do not own the trash cans, I realize that, but we have to maintain them for our trash and stuff. And before they replaced this last one, it was rather new, and one of the wheels, they had done busted one of the wheels off of it, or I'd have to put it back on and hold it. And it finally got to the point to where the wheels come off, and the rod, the axle part of them that held it, looked like a U shape. And only thing I can think is they pick it up and they drop it after that. I've had a lot of other people had issues with them, like they'll dump trash and then half the trash will be out in the yard or somewhere and they won't pick it up. And so, you know, I mean, I called them and requested a new trash can, and they brought a trash can out, but they give it to my neighbor. They didn't give it to me. And come to find out, the lady I talked to, instead of putting 112 Settlemire, she wrote 114 Settlemire. So I asked them, I said, well, they were just out here. Can they not come back and just give me one? Well, no. I had to wait another week for them to come out, which I thought was pretty bad. I'm not happy with what's going on there. I don't know if you guys have had any other issues with them or anything like that, but I mean, you know, I don't know if these guys that's picking the trash up don't care. They sling them things and just drop them and go on. Because if you go down through there, it looks like somebody's almost like another war zone where they took. I'm not happy with them, and I don't know if anybody else is. Anybody else got anything?
I just wonder if this, because their staff shortage is real bad on the public. It's real bad. And I just wonder if they don't get in a hurry because they're so short of staff that they want to get it all done quickly.
I've had the same experience. I've been here a little over 2 years, and every other week I'm going in my yard and neighbor's yard and Terry's yard and picking up debris from the trash pickup on Tuesdays. So.
Well, if I may, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've already given you a copy, I think. And I give Ron a copy. That's the contract that I dug out. And as far as I know, it's the last time the town of Drexel entered into a contract, which was in the 3rd day of June, 2008. And I think they've been the contractor under different names. They've changed names several times since 1986. So they've been kind of the king of the roost here for a long time. So the most important part of this contract, and of course the town attorney could offer his opinions on it, but in the term portion, it says the initial term shall automatically be extended for successive 5-year terms unless either party notifies the other in writing, not less than 180 days prior to the expiration of the initial term or any successive terms. Not sure how solid that is, but by my count, that would put us in year 2 of a 5-year contract that has successfully occurred from 2008.
I would agree.
You would agree? Okay.
Now, is 6 months too long? Would that be upheld? I don't know. I'd have to look,
Yeah.
do a little research. If you're wanting to cancel, terminate their contract, we obviously don't want to pay 2 contracts.
Right. Sure, and I will, there's a couple words of caution. I have a contract here outlines that they go up based on the CPI index, right, per year. So they send me a letter in March and say, hey, CPI is 4%, 3%, hopefully closer to 2% most years, but sometimes it's higher than that, depending on the economy. And that's kind of how the charges are calculated. Kind of go back to the drawing board. They're saying, okay, what does today's market say? And what are our competitors going to put out? That could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. It just depends on where the market's gone. I will say solid waste services have increased dramatically the past 10 years. So you always run that risk. If you go to bid, it could cause prices to be even higher than they are now. But it also could save you money depending on if a contractor finds a way to be more affordable. The second problem is carts. Like the mayor said, Public owns the trash carts. So they could sell them to us. They could say, well, we don't want to pick them all up. Y'all can have them, or we're going to sell them to you for this X dollars. And then they would become the town of Drexel's property. And then we would have to maintain them, and we would also have to, replace them if they were to break. The other alternative is they pick up all their carts and then a new contractor comes in and provides the carts, which normally is gonna have a cost associated with it because they've got to purchase carts. So those are just some of the logistics. None of that is insurmountable. It is completely within the board's right to do this. And I would certainly recommend it, depending on the contractual obligations, that if we wait till kind of when this term is up, maybe that would be a good time to say, hey, we're gonna go do an RFP and see that. But again, that's 3 years from now. So if you're not happy with the services now, there is a clause in here that does talk about non-performance, and whether or not your issues relate to the non-performance, I don't know. That'd be something that the attorney would have to give us some feedback on. But I did have a representative finally from Republic come into my office today, and I sat down and talked with her about some of the issues that you've had. And I left the conversation optimistic that hopefully they could listen. And I don't think it'd be bad if you would like me to. I can bring her in to a board meeting or to a private meeting or whatever, and sit there and discuss the topic. But I wanted to give you that context as you discuss Republic Services, because certainly I think as a town we provide excellent customer service, so we don't want it to look poorly on us that our contractor is not providing excellent customer service. We certainly want to rectify those issues.
So Rod, we'd have to give a 6-month notice to get out of this contract, is that correct?
6 months before the expiration of the term.
Yeah, okay, so.
So in 2.5 years,
Yeah.
somewhere in that
Okay, so
ballpark.
we'd have to wait till the end of that contract, or close to the end.
Well, I mean, we could obviously give them notice, and whether or not they sue us to try to enforce the contract.
Right.
But I can look at that. 6 months seems a long time.
It does.
So we've got 3 more years, but whatever you got,
I'd like to look into it, just see what Rod can come up with,
Okay.
for sure.
You mind
See
doing
if
that?
it's, no.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a pretty small. I know the contract that I did with Belmont when we renewed ours. It was 30 pages. So this is a very simple contract.
We will ask you something on
Yep.
on the charges of the service. This was in 2008.
Yes.
I know they've had some increases.
Yeah, CPI based. Yeah.
Look at the next paragraph down from the charges. Talks
Oh,
about how it
modification of rates.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
And they do send a letter every year that says, hey, we're going up by this much. Some years you're like, oh, that's great. Some years, like this year, oh, that's not good. So
I got
it depends on inflation.
Okay.
It's interesting on here, it says the elderly or disabled persons unable to carry the trash to the street will receive backdoor service. There's a lot of people in town that I've talked to that it's hard to carry all that trash to the road due to their age and, accessibility.
Yeah, that is a
Without
service
net.
they offer. And I think Kristen, they reach out to us. Is that how they get that backdoor pickup service completed?
Yeah, I actually wasn't aware that they did that.
Yeah, no one's in.
I wasn't
I just
aware
read
that
that.
was in there. Because there's probably a few that could benefit from it.
Yeah, I know in Belmont, when we had backdoor pickup, we always just had a physician's note and an end date. We didn't want like a permanent,
Right.
this person always needs it. But an end date, a year, 2 years out, and they would just renew it if they needed it. And at that point, we would let our contractor know, and that would be a service they would provide. And that's in the contract, so that's something that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And we can look into that.
I mean, that's something that they wouldn't be held to.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So will you take care of that for us, sir?
I'll
into
take a
that?
look, yeah.
All right, thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
And if we do, in the meantime, if we do have any services issues with our municipal sales manager, I think is her title, directly. So she can help us out.
All right. All right, let's go on to the departmental reports, the financial report.
All right, yes, I will take care of that once I find my page here. Oh, and just from that last time, I did include the School of Government's article on public contracts and bidding, just for reference, if you are interested. It also covers other types of contracts and everything, so you can be well informed when you make your decisions. It's even got a helpful chart. All right, moving to the financial, we'll first go through the budget variance report. If we'll look at that middle 3 columns, the year-to-date portion of it, starting on page 1, you'll see all of our departments based on revenue. If you go to that next page, and look at the total expense line, not total, the total revenue, it's at the very top of the second page, total revenue line item all the way over if you go to actual versus budgeted. So our actual revenue as of this report being printed, which was I think last Friday, $785,000 in actual revenue. We're budgeted revenue of $867,000, so it's a little lower, but this is as of the end of the month, November, which is why there's a little bit of an off there. But otherwise, we're in good shape, and taxes are coming in pretty steady as well throughout this period. As far as our expenses for general fund, if you go down to the total expense line there, our actual expenses sit at $901,000 versus $867,000 budgeted, but we did make the payment on the fire truck. The second payment on the fire truck has been processed, so that's why we're low over there. That'll correct as the year goes on. Moving on to the electric fund, going down to the total revenue line item, actual, we're at 1.299 million in revenue versus what was budgeted of 1.1 million. So we're a bit ahead of schedule on that, but remember we also got that one-time credit from electricities back in August, which kind of offsets that a little bit. But our revenue is looking good in the electric fund. Expenses, we sit at 757,000 actual expenses versus 1.1 million budgeted. That will probably be likely to change as the FEMA expenses come in. Become more apparent. We're still waiting on some of that information, but otherwise we were looking good before that event, and well within budget on all those items. Moving on to the water and sewer fund, total revenue sitting at 327,000 versus what was budgeted 331,000. So within 5,000 there in revenue. That'll go up and down. Base expenses 253. 900,000 and 253,000 in total expenses versus 331 budgeted, so we're looking good there as well. Moving on to the bank balances, general checking set at 435,000, and CCMT set at 218,000, money rate savings set at 8.8 million, and recreation set at 13.6. Or 13,000, and you'll see the fund distribution on the right, which is just allocations based on what they're earmarked for or what's free and unrestricted. And that's fine. Oh yes, a tax report. I forgot she had done that. So as far as tax report goes, we're at 73.4% collected. Last year at this time we were at 75.6%, so within 2 percentage points, so not far off.
Chief Ritchie.
See, we had 223 calls for service or events, 7 reportable incidents, 5 cases cleared, 5 arrests, 11 citations written, 0 warning tickets, 5 motor vehicle accidents. These were a little high. 3 of the papers served, like commitments or subpoenas. That's it. Were we gonna go over the comms this month?
I was gonna go into my section of the manager's report.
Okay.
So you can get back to that.
Any questions?
Got you do web and
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we got qualified on everything. We had to do extra training because we were switching platforms. Those SIG were a hammer-fired weapon with a decocker, and we went to a striker fire, so we had to burn through some ammo, get some muscle memory going, but everybody switched over and they're happy. So,
Good job.
yeah.
Great.
Thank you, sir. Chief Wilkie. We have a new fire truck shortly on the way, is that all right?
Yep. For the month of October, we had 31 calls, of average of 60 minutes and 26 seconds from dispatch to arrival. No major incidents, no major problems on the fire side. Everything's going good. I did get a message just a couple hours ago. The fire truck has been released to be shipped. So hopefully by Friday or Monday or Tuesday next week, it should be here. Physically be here, yeah.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll do recreation. Lisa was not able to make it. She had to cover some games this evening that are happening. So Zumba Tuesday, Thursday nights, line dancing on Tuesday nights, indoor soccer league Sundays at Huffman Center, Adult Kickball League meeting, I guess they're meeting on kickball. Pickleball, Monday through Thursday still, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and Wednesdays 6 to 9 p.m. Football season continues. There are 2 more home games for football season. They had to delay a couple of those due to the Hurricane Helene aftermath, but those have been rescheduled, which is a good thing for us because that's a big revenue.
I think it's the next 2 Saturdays, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's correct. Soccer season is ongoing. That's where she's at this evening. New Dimensions in Worthington Day School are having basketball games. Blood drive, back parking lot, our Huffman Center. Time and date to be determined, so we'll of course have more information when that becomes available. Faith Community Church Group is using the Oro Huffman Gym on Sundays from 6 to 7:30. Birthday parties, other events are set for several rentals. Basketball signups are still ongoing. Gym floor will be completed by November 8th. So I've been in there. They've already stripped it and everything, but I think they're working on refinishing it.
Yeah, I went in there today and it looks good.
Yeah, just the stripping, it looked good. So
Yeah, well, they've got the finish on it.
do they? I'm gonna go in tomorrow to check it out. And on that note, the election, of course, is tomorrow, and that facility is used for election day. We had a little bit of a concern about voting machines and messing up our new floor. So we looked at alternatives in the building, like whether we could, there was no other alternative that made sense in the building, unfortunately, because of some of the issues that Mr. Harmon outlined earlier, specifically ADA issues. So it will be in the facility, but it's gonna be relegated to just that, I think it's the northwest corner of the building, right there, as you enter the back, the left. We're gonna try to limit its footprint as much as possible. That way it doesn't affect the floor. So we're hoping with that, doing it that way, we won't have any issues and damages. Because we still want people to vote, obviously. We just didn't want to harm our floors if possible. The concession room, they did relocate the concession room to one of those vacant storage rooms on the other side of the gym. So as you enter directly to your left, we did that because A, it's accessible, easier to those who are in the gym. Also, so staff could have more privacy in their offices as they're doing work, especially since we've got a full-time staff member, we need that privacy over there. So that's been relocated. And the room is great, and it's larger than what they had before. So it works out well. They have we put in place, just to kind of see how it does, a little arcade room over there where the activity room used to be. So if you have not seen it, go check that out.
The old game room.
Yeah, the old game room. It's got arcade machines in it now, which scared the daylights out of me after our COG meeting because I was alone, turned off all the lights and heard screaming. And turns out it was one of the arcade machines that was screaming at me. I got out of there quickly, and then the next day I said, oh, that was an arcade machine. The outside play area is still, we're still working on scheduling that, but to be honest with you, Public Works has been completely tied up on the electrical stuff for, 16-hour days for 10 days, and now it seems like every water line in town has decided it wants to break. So they've been working on water lines pretty much the past 2 weeks.
Foothills had something to do with that.
They might have, I don't know, they've been shaking the earth a lot, so that happens. But they're working on those items.
Okay.
And they had some sports pictures taken October 27th. That is it for recreation.
All right, good deal. Miss Teresa. She's already gone.
I think
She had to leave, but
Yeah.
so,
I'm gonna
Okay,
speak
go
for-
ahead. Go ahead, come on up.
She asked me to, and to apologize for that. She had to leave.
Okay.
But before I do that, I was thinking about this as this day's come together and just kind of sitting in and listening to this. I think the whole Drexel maintenance crew needs to have some kind of be applauded for, because I mean, these guys have worked relentless. And I was thinking about it when I was putting a report together as a follow-up from earlier in October, and I just thought, my goodness, they may not watch this, they may not, but maybe dinner, maybe something. But I mean, these guys have just went above and beyond.
We need to do something, not just for them, but for police and the fire department as well, because they were out there doing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's the whole thing. Would you read the last page, Mr. Franklin, before you pass that on?
Me?
Yes, sir, please. It's a summary of the one I sent before in October, the pictures of everything that was damaged, and this has just got some follow-ups from all the cleanup that the guys have done. Chief Ritchie and Chief Welke and all the things that it's pretty remarkable. I mean, it's just hands down, it's remarkable.
Okay, yeah, no worries. So This cleanup process would not have been possible without the continued work and efforts of the Drexel maintenance staff, both local and outsourced volunteers and the Drexel citizens.
Yep, I mean, you know, give you guys a hand. These citizens have worked, I've seen it. You know, you guys have seen it, folks have seen it throughout the communities, other places. You know, I'm in Catawba County and I hear people talking about the things that's just going on in Burke County, and it's impressive. I mean, it truly is. It's sad it's happened, but on the other side, it's probably a silver lining and a blessing in it.
Well, we hear the other, you know, other counties, it's gonna be up to March before some of them
Yeah.
even get their power back
Yeah.
on, so.
Yeah, and you know, we're not even talking about the mountain folks and what they're dealing with.
We were very blessed.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
You can pass that around if anybody wants to see it. So Miss Kenny, on her way out, had just wanted me to update something on this 204 North Main. The owners have contacted her, and so they have a process where they've got a couple weeks to do some cleaning up. And there's gonna be another zoning thing coming where she's gonna allow one container to remain, but it's gonna have to be enclosed, and she's gonna handle that on a separate situation. But they have made positive response. There's no negative kickback to it, and there were some explanations after the letters were sent and the mailings were out. So that was a plus for her. Now, I don't know anything else about zoning, so.
Yeah, I think, you can look through the report, and if you have any questions, you can email her or email me, and we'll get answers.
Yes, and like she said, it's very positive, and they have they have a structured plan, this family does, of what they're gonna do, here in the future, so that's a win-win.
Okay. All right. Go
And
ahead
then-
with yours, sir.
Code enforcement, again, it's kind of goes back to this month of kind of hands-off, letting people clean up. It would be a true disrespect to tell somebody, fix this, when you got catastrophe here. So, but the report that you do have in your hand is some home issues that we're gonna have to completely just begin to resolve and see these things come to settlement. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, unfortunately, there was a home that was lost by fire. And of course, there's gonna be insurance, as you guys know, this is common knowledge. There'll be some things they'll have to go through the process to get that done, resolved and clean, so hopefully it'll be a smooth transition with that, but insurance and things can be a delay as well.
The gentleman down Dearborn Extension,
That's the home.
is that the one?
That's the,
Did it catch on fire?
it has, it's in the,
Okay.
yeah, it's in the.
This last photo on the next page of this report.
Did he have insurance?
I have not spoken directly to him at this point.
Okay, I didn't know, because I know, I saw where a fundraiser was going on for him, and also I see that, if I understand that he's got a tent out in his front yard.
He does.
Yeah. And I didn't know if he had insurance or not.
That first photo kind of shows where he's doing, and I'm sure the shed in the back, I'm sure whatever is salvageable, he's probably tried to cram in there at some point, so. And I guess the saying is he'll need some grace in this time. I mean, you know, someone told me the other day, I didn't even know this, Valdez, where the Old Rock School is, and you were talking about it earlier, sir, they have these sheds out. And they're just a one-room shed, but they're being, does anyone know this story?
Yeah.
They're being insulated and gonna be taken to the mountains for a home.
Is
So
that
just
is that not something the Amish is doing?
I don't know the details, I just know the little bit that I was shared, someone shared with me. But can you imagine having a 4-bedroom house, 3-bedroom house, a basement, a garage, nothing? And then weeks, you end up in a 1-room shed. I mean, you talk about emotional swings and roller coasters for people's lives.
Shows how blessed we are.
Beyond blessed. Nothing should be taken for granted, literally. So, but anyway, if you didn't know that, that's kind of what those sheds are on Church Street in Valdez, which is.
Somebody had told me that the Amish had come in, some Amish had come in and built them and taken them up the mountain.
That may be true, I don't have that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I know there are some Amish somewhere building them and sending them and putting them up there.
Right. So,
all right.
That's kind of where we're at, and holidays are here, as you said, coming up. So.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilcox, do you have anything for us tonight?
Not tonight.
Okay.
I'll look at that contract though.
All right. Take care of that for us.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead there, sir.
Yep, so I'll try to be quick here. The first thing that I don't have listed here, but on the very back page, your last page, and also if you got a water bill, you would have seen this, but some frequently asked questions about lead and copper and the town of Drexel. That's the non-required portion that I wanted to put in our water bill to make sure if people had questions about lead and copper, they knew answers to it. So in summary, it's a complicated thing. It's been something ongoing for years. Back when Flint, Michigan happened, and there were a lot of lead issues in the water, the EPA got involved, the federal government got involved. And pretty much no matter how big, how small, whether you have lead in your system or not, they required the water systems to identify lead in the service lines on both the customer portion of the service line, which is beyond the meter, and the town portion, which is between the main and the meter. And identify that and then submit that inventory to the EPA. Well, as you can imagine, with older water systems, records are not very good. And so getting that is a challenge, just based solely on records. So really, your last resort is you got to dig everything, and you got to look. So our team on Public Works has been working the past year or so on replacing meters, and as they replace those meters, identifying, go ahead and while they're out there identifying it. We got about 15% of the town marked and identified, but the remainder of the town is unknown. Well, per the regulation, even if it's unknown, we've got to notify residents of the health effects of lead. And what went out in the mail is what the EPA has sent that we have to send out. So some of it can be a little scary. It's talking about IQ and children and stuff, but rest assured that our staff has never encountered lead service lines in the town. That doesn't mean they don't exist, but they've not been encountered. Two, even if they were a problem in town, or there was a lot of them, the water in Morganton is treated with an anti-corrosive chemical that's safe to drink, but does line our mains and our lines to prevent lead from leaching into the water. So that is a safety that North Carolina has required for a long time. So even if there were lead issues, it's unlikely that that would be a problem. We also do lead testing. We have done lead testing for years and never had any lead found in our water. So the notice was a requirement per federal regulations. It's unfortunate that everybody who's unknown had to get one. That's just the reality of what was required. And I put that FAQ in there as well, just so if people had questions about lead and copper, they could hopefully get those resolved over the course of the next few years. We'll be working on identifying those remaining lead lines, and hopefully in the next few years we'll know what every line is and be able to kind of check that box. And if we do have any lead service lines, we will have to replace those on our portion. We are not responsible for replacing the portion of the service line beyond the meter. That would be up to the homeowner. And there are some nuances in the regulation, as you can probably imagine. Like if we find a lead service line, how we have a certain number of, or if we replace a lead service line, we have a certain number of days in which we have to notify the homeowner, and they have to replace it in a certain time frame. And there's a lot of questions about public assistance and how people are going to pay for that we just don't have answers to yet, and the federal government doesn't either. So it's going to take time. But just wanted to talk about that briefly at the meeting if anybody had any questions. The other item that I wanted to discuss real briefly is the chief and I had gone back and forth over the summer about radio purchases, because Motorola was the company we've been using for radios. They were pricey, but also they weren't meeting our timelines for delivery. So we were concerned that as the public safety communication system changes and our current radios become no longer operative, we had made a other purchase of some Kenwoods in case those Motorola's didn't make it on time, just in case. Well, with that, our plan was to just return or cancel the Kenwood order and utilize the Motorola's. But when the emergency happened, the Hurricane Helene happened, we kind of taught us a lesson that you can't always rely on cell phones, and that maybe having some redundancy in our communications might not be a bad thing. So discussion was, if the board was okay with it, I would think this would be an electric fund purchase because it would be used for electric fund operations in the event of emergency, so our public works guys could use it. When it's not being used by our public works guys, then it would still be available for public safety or any other uses. But using our electric fund, and we have the budget for it to purchase the $16,000 in radios that could be utilized in an emergency situation. So Chief, if you have any additional thing you'd like to add, you're welcome to at this time.
No, I don't have anything to add except we're still going to have a lot of our radios going offline with the Viper system through the state. And then in July, we're going to have about 4 or 5 older radios go down. We've already had some of those going down. I've tried to pull in the ones that are still functioning. We kept one in the office, and I got one from a reserve, tried to pull them back to the department. So we'll have enough radios to go around for reserves, for parades, for carnivals and the fair and et cetera. It was a little slow. They dominated that market for a lot of years under a contract through Viper, but that's run out. So they got some competition now. Got some different companies coming in, and these Kenwoods are high quality for about half the price of what we were getting the Motorola's for. So it just makes sense. We want to have enough radios to go around our reserves as well. We don't have that now. I'm having to partner people up with one radio and buddy system around at the fairgrounds and things. We certainly don't have enough for emergency situations to pass out to Public Works and anybody else that would need them that works here with the town. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we would have had these radios that we're asking to get enough, I'd have probably handed one to a citizen, Andy Franklin, clearing out to Westwood, and I won't name a bunch of people, but I mean, they would need comms too, and it'd be good to have.
Yeah. Chief Wilkie, yours all right? Your radio's good?
Yeah, we got maybe 2 or 3 that's going to go out next year.
Well, we're budgeted to purchase some radios for fire. Yeah.
All right.
So in other words, what we're requesting is, if you're okay with it, to utilize electric fund equipment line item to purchase radios that could be used in the event of emergency.
Do we need to vote on that?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Or at least.
Well, I mean, like you said, during the storm, you relying on a cell phone, you're dead in the water. You couldn't.
Learn that.
And you get these guys out here working on a power line, and somebody gets hurt, and there's no way to communicate. Man, that's one accident right there. Lives are priceless. I think that makes perfectly good sense.
You can tell us firsthand how that was, can't you?
Yeah,
Being out there with them and everything.
With Roger the first few days, and talking to Chief Wilkie and Richie, I mean, we were running around, and Roger would burn up the roads, just make sure he's staying in constant communication with the crews, and those radios would have been greatly appreciated if we had them. So I
we got to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I have the motion from Scott. Do I have a second?
A second.
Tim, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll make that purchase.
Okay.
All right. And the next thing is talent. We got several holidays coming up. It's holiday season, so we've got November 11th, which is next Monday, a week from today. Offices will be closed. The 28th and 29th for Thanksgiving. Our regular meeting is scheduled for December 3rd at 6 p.m. We have 2 events coming up. So on December 3rd at 7:15, we'll have a Christmas tree lighting downtown to celebrate the upcoming holidays. So please be there for that at 7:15 p.m. And we'll do some more marketing on Facebook, so keep an eye on Facebook for details. There'll be some light refreshments provided as well. So please come to that event, as well as entertainment from a chorus, a kids chorus in Drexel. Christmas on Main Street is our little festival planned for December 14th, starting with the parade and then going throughout the day with various activities, including Touch a Truck, bouncy houses, pictures with Santa. We're really trying to pull out all the stops and have a fun event for the entire family. So please come out for that. On that date, and we'll have more marketing going out on that over the coming month as well. And then again, of course, it seems like it shouldn't be this close, but Christmas is coming up. So town offices will be closed December 24th, 25th, and 26th for Christmas holidays at the end of the year.
We've got a few things for town-wise for Christmas, for staff-wise, I mean, for Thanksgiving, craft-wise, right?
Yeah, we'll have some things we'll have to start planning and whatnot. There's a lot going on, but it'll be a good time.
Okay. All right, is that it for you?
That's it.
Okay. I would like to give Mr. Wilcox a belated happy birthday. Happy birthday last week.
Yes, sir.
So, congratulations on that.
29.
29. Okay.
61.
Yeah. Another thing I'd like to say, as most everybody here knows, and things are, tomorrow is probably, if not the biggest historical day going to happen in the United States. It's going to be one of the most important days of the year tomorrow. So if you have